edition of the Get Real Football Experts podcast. I'm Dave Kress, joined as always by Louis Debe. Louis, how you doing today?
What's going on? It's going good, but
Sure.
but no, but both of my teams have been eliminated from hockey and basketball.
Well, hockey, they were eliminated before it started.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I don't know. Are you supporting the Ducks?
I'm supporting
again?
my Anaheim Ducks again. I've rejoined my Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
And then my Oklahoma City Thunder got eliminated last night, and I know your New York Knicks are fighting for their playoff lives tonight.
Yeah, they're not going to win.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean the hockey
play away from you know who I'm kind of watching. Well, I'm not going to watch it because I hate the NHL, but the Rangers is who I'm rooting for. You know, I got some family
you got some
connections.
roots.
But honestly, I kind of enjoyed their Game 6 of that. That Game 6 game, I had a slight enjoyment.
The NHL has been blowing away the NBA playoff games-wise. There's been Game 7s.
Yeah, because the Heat are going to
third,
win again.
I don't know if you saw, but the third period comeback by, I feel so bad for Toronto. The Boston Bruins are down 4-1 with 7 minutes left to go, and the Toronto Maple Leafs blow a 3-goal lead to lose the game in overtime.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's been that. There's been Game 7s. Really, basketball's just been bad. There's been
one. Well, I enjoyed the Heat Bulls series, but that was kind of
It was more aggressive. Like, it was more aggressive than it showed. Like 4-1 looks bad, but the Bulls were in every game except for the second game where they got blown up by over 50 points.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that game, I mean, even the first round, the one good series I actually enjoyed watching, other than the Thunder Rockets, even though that wasn't that great either, minus the Westbrook injury, was the Bulls Nets Game 7. Other than that, the series have just been blowouts.
I love that Knicks Celtics last game.
That's true. But I mean, like this series, 4-1 Grizzlies win it, 4-1 Heat win it. The one series I also like is the Golden State Warriors versus the Spurs, 3-2. I like to see the Warriors push a Game 7. That'd be fun to see in San Antonio.
I just don't think they're gonna push out.
Pretty much the Heat are gonna win it this year again.
Yeah, no, that's just
there's no team that's gonna be able to stop them. So it's
so irritating. Yeah.
To me, if Derrick Rose was playing in Chicago, maybe it's different. That's why I'm really looking forward to next year with Westbrook and Rose both coming back. Both could really affect the Miami Heat triple title run. So yeah, it's fun, but it's just tough this year with how pretty much one-sided the whole league's been.
Yeah, I know that just kind of takes a lot of the excitement away. LeBron winning the MVP again, and now they're walking through the playoffs.
Now here's a question: what's the most intense playoffs? Football, basketball, hockey, or MLB?
Football. Not because I'm biased or anything. It's because it's the only sport that's not. Well, yeah. Well, I am biased, but this isn't why I'm saying it. Because they have one game, you win and you're in. For the other sports, I mean, well, the first round in baseball is different, but you got to win 4 games to move on, so it takes a lot of the excitement away. So if you lose, you're like, big deal. We got at least 3 more games.
Yeah, the longevity of it is far less great than the NFL. Well, more than the NFL. I would probably agree, but the hockey playoffs are incredible to watch every single year. There's good series, and it's intense. It's one of the toughest trophies to win, with the intensity of how the game is played as well. Basketball in the playoffs, yeah, the game slows down, but it's kind of like this. It's kind of an easier sport to play, in my opinion. Hockey, just the way the sport runs, I think is amazing, but nothing beats the football. I mean, the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game, repeats Brady versus Ray Lewis in his last game. Football, the storyline is just so much greater, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, baseball,
there's less teams, too, so I think that makes it more significant.
I enjoy baseball because it's just so tough to get in that all the teams are, like, so good. Like, the Grizzlies, or not the Grizzlies, the Bucks, they had no shot against the Heat. But in baseball, there are only, like, 5 teams from each conference make it. Last year was 4, or 2 years ago it was 4, so it makes it a lot more.
The thing I like about the MLB is the All-Star game actually has so much significance because with the NFL and the NHL, I mean, really the All-Star game is just becoming not important at all. The NBA is still going with it because of the dunk contest and all the skills competitions and it's a star-based league.
Well, I don't even watch the All-Star game. I just watch the other stuff.
Yeah, but with the MLB, it's winner which conference gets home field advantage in the MLB World Series. That's awesome. I'd like to see one of the leagues go to that, like football. I don't know about football.
Well, football doesn't
because it's the Super Bowl, so it can't be. Ironically, if the Giants make it or the Jets this year, which I don't see. The Jets.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants made it there again, which I don't think is going to happen. But the
Jets are not making the Super Bowl.
Neither are the Giants either. But
and that brings a headline to what we're talking about. David Garrard, the veteran quarterback of the New York Jets, has retired. In a press conference, he said that his knee was not holding up. And he also didn't like his chances of starting at the position as they drafted Geno Smith in the second round. Also still got Mark Sanchez there and Greg McElroy, who they got out of Alabama a couple years back. So he's gone. Tim Tebow's gone.
Yeah.
That means, to me, Sanchez is staying, and this is a two-quarterback battle, and I honestly think you're going to see... the thing I've been watching with Geno is he's kind of a diva. I honestly don't like Geno Smith's attitude. Compared to E.J. Manuel, I think E.J. Manuel blows him away maturity-wise. But Geno, I think, physically is one step ahead. I think he's already made an impact in the Jets' offense. Rex Ryan saying he's really he's been the voice there in the huddle, and he's looked good. But again, I got a report. I saw this on Twitter, not a report, that he walked away from the practice after he was frustrated with some of the calls that they were making, the offensive coordinators were making. So it's interesting to see. It's just the Jets kind of situation right now. It's just the Jets story. They always bring drama to themselves, which kind of really just makes me mad. Because they're not good enough to deserve all the media attention they are. Hence why Tim Tebow pretty much got ruined there. I mean, but I think Mark Sanchez could easily be the starter week one if he can beat out Geno.
Even though I don't know why. I mean, the Thanksgiving, the starting Mark Sanchez runs into the ass of his
Pardon our French.
right tackle, right guard or something.
Right
you're
tackle.
Still gonna start him.
Yeah, I mean, it's one play, but it's the worst play probably. It probably is the worst play in NFL history.
It's so funny. Though.
It is probably other than the time that the Minnesota Vikings defensive end in 1960 picked up the ball and ran the other way to score a touchdown for the other team.
Or when your Eagles, Deshaun Jackson, running into the end zone and throws the ball down on the goal line right before he crosses.
The NFL's a bunch of bums.
Or when Tony Romo dropped the snap to go to the Super Bowl and he picked it up and tried to run.
Let's go easy on the NFC East.
Or when Tim Tebow in the preseason threw a pass and it was like no receiver was in a diameter of 20 yards. It was just one opposing linebacker.
Or we could go to another sport when Nate Robinson shot at his own hoop with the Knicks and made it.
Yeah.
It was a practice shot. Okay, wait, I got something. Who are the worst refs in the entire sports? Which league has the worst? Yes.
But it's the hardest call.
Hockey, to me, has some bogus rules, which the refs have to enforce.
Yeah.
Football, we really showed how much we appreciate them.
No, we hate
after
them.
Okay,
we still hate
this is our thing. It's like we hate them, and then they leave, and these awful, literally guys that were talking about Leisha McCoy, hey, you're on my fantasy team, are coming in, and they make the worst call, one of the worst calls ever in primetime football with the Russell Wilson to Golden Tate. Awful move, awful call, and then they come back, and we love them, we're cheering for them, and then 5 minutes later they make a bad call and we hate them again. Yeah, that's just the way the refs are.
And I don't get why everyone hates, what's his name? Oh my, Roger Goodell. Why does everyone hate? I like.
I think it's in the rule book that you have to hate the commish.
I like him.
I just hate.
Why.
I don't like.
Criticize me for it. I like him. He's good.
I just don't like. Okay, look, I like what he's doing for player safety. Not a lot of people like the tuck rule, but I think it's just. I think all it's doing is making you go back to the basics of football. I mean, I played organized football for a year, and what I can tell from watching the football players how they tackle. This isn't like, oh well, now we can't tackle them because. I mean, for the running backs, I can see where they're going because sometimes if the defensive players are leading with their head, you're not going to just stand up and take the hit. But it should make the defensive players go back to the fundamentals of tackling with your head near the football, lifting and tackling.
You still can lower your helmet like at the hairline. It's outside of the tackle.
You're going to see a lot of
outside of the tackle.
You're going to see a lot of ACLs torn now because now they're really taking everything above the waist out of the game, other than the normal tackle, which sometimes you can't do. You can't always when you're about to tackle somebody like Trevor just said last year with Kurt Coleman. That wasn't the way Kurt Coleman was tackling was the proper technique. That's why I think the rule sometimes is good with that situation. But if you have a guy leading with his shoulder, you're not going to just sit there. And with the way sometimes the angles are going and you're coming at the running back, you just can't avoid it. That's why I think it's tough with Goodell. But the guy I don't like is Gary Bettman. He's ruining the sport of hockey.
I guess. I just don't like hockey enough to care.
That's true.
Yeah, so back to Tim Tebow. And sticking in the AFC East, Patriots coach Bill Belichick, obviously everyone knows him, made a comment that said that he hates the way Tim Tebow plays the game.
I think this kid, the media needs to cut some. Everyone needs to cut some slack on this kid. First off, if you're not going to sign him, I can call him a kid because he's a kid in the NFL.
Okay, fine.
Mark Brunell was looked at a dinosaur, and he was only 37 years old. That's not that old.
Right, so
a couple years ago. By the way, did you ever see another awful play in Mark Sanchez's career when he wiped his nose on Mark Brunell's fine Jets jacket? He literally is digging for gold in his nose. The most disgusting thing I've ever seen, and wipes the whole thing of Mark Brunell's jacket. I don't even know if Mark Brunell saw it. I think he looked over his shoulder in disgust.
Does he know? Does Sanchez know that every single thing he does is recorded on the side?
Oh, he's under the radar. He's under the microscope, and I think he knows that.
There's so many cameras on the side that they're all wired. He probably heard the noise.
My thing with Tebow is, too, if you're not going to sign him, don't criticize him, though. Because if you're going to sign him, I mean, then you can say good things about him, and then maybe after you've already learned coach the kid, I'm going to call him a kid again.
No.
All right, fine, I'm going to call him a guy. But you can't. If you're not going to sign the guy, don't just criticize him off of what you've seen. He's won a playoff game against, at that time, statistically was the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
Granted, obviously they brought the safety all the way up to near the linebackers with when they brought only Ryan Clark was back there, so that was kind of just a mental error or the Steelers disrespecting Tebow. But I think this guy, if the media wasn't on him, would definitely be in the league. If Brady Quinn and Colt McCoy have a job in the NFL with no playoff experience and barely have ever even started, why is Tim Tebow not in it? It's the media.
Well, yeah. So, I just think it didn't need to be said. It really doesn't affect anything. So, sticking to the AFC East, go to my Buffalo Bills. GM Buddy Nix, ex-GM now, he steps down from the position. He still is working for the team as a special assistant, which doesn't really make sense. He's going to work from his house. I heard the local show, John Murphy Show. He's going to work from his house with it. And he said he's still going to try to go to all the games. He's going to be around camp and stuff. So basically, it's pointless. And also to backpedal on that, Doug Whaley, who was the ex-GM, was named general manager just today.
From a Bill standpoint, this is the best thing that could have happened to him because they needed a new. To me, I mean, but I just don't understand why Buddy Nix chose this time to step down. Yeah. You're making all these pushes and you're making all these moves in the offseason. And you get your franchise guy and then you step down.
Well, here's what he said. He said that
I haven't listened to the interview, so I don't know honestly what his take is on it.
He said that he knew he was going to do it eventually when he took the job, and then he said that. He wanted to wait a little bit after the draft, but not wait too long.
Because he wanted to get his guy to make sure they got him. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. So let's talk a little.
But I like Doug Whaley though. He's a good mind that's going to help. I think the Bills. I mean, he's already came in. So yeah, continue with what you were saying. But yeah, I think it's a smart move. I think the Bills should be happy with this move.
Yeah. So quickly, let's take a look at what he's done over the years. As Bills GM, was about a little over 3 years. So he signed Ryan Fitzpatrick to a huge deal a couple years back. And he re-signed Stevie last year. He re-signed Fred Jackson last year. His first-round draft picks, C.J. Spiller.
Which at the time everybody was saying was one of the worst picks they've ever seen. People were calling for Jimmy Clausen at that time.
Marcel Darius was the next year, 3rd overall.
Solid.
Spiller was 9 overall. Year after that, which would be 2012, Stephon Gilmore, 10th overall, and this year E.J. Manuel, 16th overall.
When you look back at it, it's honestly he's almost hit it on every single one because C.J. Spiller to me is one of the best running backs in the league. If they just finally fully commit to him, Darius, I really think it's time that they let Fred Jackson go.
I don't. I like Jackson. I mean, one thing about Spiller not everyone knows is he gets winded easily, so he's going to need to take a couple breathers.
Well, yeah, but that's true. But it doesn't require that. I mean, you're paying Fred Jackson a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
You could easily have brought in a guy. I mean, to me, Tashard Choice could be a viable number 2, but they could easily go out and get a guy like, I mean, if the Eagles just signed up, they could have got a guy like Felix Jones. There's guys out there that can do that too, but then you look at Marcel Darius. That's a solid, consistent pick right there. He's been a really good player, not stellar, but he's done what he's supposed to do.
He was their 3-4 defensive end, and then when they moved to 4-3, he moved defensive tackle alongside.
Which I think he fits. But I think he fits better in the 4-3.
He's huge.
I think he fits much better in the 4-3 because, and then I mean you look at then too, Stephon Gilmore last year had a very good rookie year.
Yeah.
Very undershined rookie, honestly, based on because he's in Buffalo.
And probably
National
because he
media's
only
not
had
on him.
one interception.
Yeah, but the difference is too, that's kind of the scheme's fault too. When you're playing press like the Bills do, when you're playing off coverage like guys like Asante Samuel love to do, when you're playing off coverage, you're looking at the quarterback too, so you can see when the ball. But when you're playing press coverage like Stephon Gilmore does, you're bumping them and you're chasing the receiver and you're looking at the receiver the whole time. And you swat it. Well, Stephon Gilmore did a great job, and I mean the corners were weak on the other side of him.
Yeah, Gilmore's one pick. I was actually at that game. It was at the Ralph Wilson Stadium.
He's very good
against the Rams. He picked it off, brought it back, but there was like a legal block in the back or something, so it was not a touchdown. But I liked him,
and he can play. It's not like he's like to me Nnamdi Asomugha. I'm not going to compare him to, but I'm saying scheme wise, Nnamdi Asomugha can't play off coverage. But that's just my opinion on it. I just don't. I mean, they tried in Philadelphia and it was a disaster. Obviously, now he's in San Francisco. But Stephon Gilmore is very versatile. He played off coverage a lot in South Carolina. That's mainly what they run. I mean, he moved around. He can also. I mean, he's a versatile player, and that's why I think really when you look back at the time, the C.J. Spiller move looked ridiculous because they also had Marshawn Lynch on their roster. But I mean, I think they've all been really solid picks. But the one pick that he never selected until this year was a quarterback, and that's why I think it's taken longer for this team to progress based on because the most important position was their biggest need for the past 5 years.
What he was saying last year, Buddy Nix was saying during the season last year was that he was going to draft a franchise quarterback, and he finally did. Well, maybe franchise quarterback. We don't know about Manuel yet. But reading up on how the rookie minicamps turned out, sounded pretty good. I mean, I love what the Bills have done with their young receiving core. They were just a lot of good guys, a lot of speed. I excited for that this year. But
yeah, Robert Woods is looking actually very good. Watching some of the Bills roundup videos.
Yeah.
But I mean, as of yesterday, I mean it's an open QB competition, like Doug Marrone said. Like yesterday, Tavares Jackson took the first team reps.
Yeah.
So it's open. Honestly, I don't know if Manuel. I mean, when you draft a guy 16th overall, I think he's in the most pressure to start week 1, and I think if he really excels in the preseason, they're going to put the guy in.
Yeah.
But
so
I think honestly, Tavares Jackson's the dark horse to win this.
Yeah. So the last thing about the Bills, I heard this also on the John Murphy show. They asked, Murphy asked, when do you think the Bills need a starting quarterback? By the start of training camp, by the 3rd week of preseason, or by the start of season?
Honestly, I think it doesn't matter if you wait like a couple weeks or a week before the week 1. I think that's fine, and I don't think that's a big deal, a big issue. I think based on you have to evaluate what he's done throughout the basis of the whole offseason, not what he just did in the preseason, not what he just did in training camp. You got to look at it in the body of the body of his body of work, and I think it's going to end up being Kevin Cobb or Tavares Jackson week 1. I just feel like EJ Manuel's a little bit raw, and I think they're gonna like to have him sit behind one of those guys and just learn. It's not having them learn about what the quarterbacks. It's learning getting his footwork down and all the mechanics because there's nothing else really. I mean, he was my. As obviously everyone ranked him as the number 1 Everyone ranked Geno as the number 1, but I really like this guy the most. But I think you can definitely see him starting by week 5 based on who else they have.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when do you think the Bills should have their starting quarterback decided?
I would say probably a week after the preseason. I would say probably to me, it's that week after the last preseason game because you are going to, well, honestly, I think it would actually be after the 3rd preseason game because many of the starters don't play week 4. So I think after that 3rd game, you can really get an opinion on what you think is the players. Yeah.
John Murphy said by the start of the season. He said that there's just not enough time to see what they got through all of training camp and all of the preseason.
I mean, this is a completely new team. I mean, every position. I mean, the new head coach and the new future guy. Pretty much what Buddy Nix did was during the draft. He pretty much said because I mean, this is what I heard. I mean, obviously the head coach has an influence on who you're taking. I think Doug Marrone knew something about Ryan Nassib that everybody else didn't. I think that what that is Nassib's at his high peak already, and I don't think he thinks he's ever going to... The ceiling pretty much isn't as high. For a guy like Manuel, his potential is so much greater than Ryan Nassib's, and that's what I think Marrone saw in him, and that's why I think they brought him in.
Yeah.
At a high rate, of course, but I don't know if you could have got him in the 2nd round, so I think it was still a good move.
So to wrap up the AFC East, the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs next year, and, alright, so...
I can see that.
Yeah, so on the DDFP, they talked about the best receiving core in the league,
Dave Dameshek football program, by the way.
Yeah, he said, Dave Dameshek himself said the 49ers, but it's not the 49ers. Who do you think on that?
To win the West?
No. The best receiving core in the league.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Michael Crabtree and Anquan Bolden's good, and also,
Well,
to me, I don't
Davis.
think, yeah, but I don't think Mario Manham's going to be the third guy. I think Quentin Patton. I think it's going to be a battle between Quentin Patton and A.J. Jenkins for that spot. They got some good young guys, but I don't think it's close compared to them for them. I think depth-wise, you look at the Broncos, and I mean, but honestly, I'm still gonna say based on what they've done and potential still, I think it's the Atlanta Falcons still.
Oh, yeah.
I think Roddy White and Julio Jones, that's electric. And I think if Hakeem Nicks is healthy, you can see Cruz and Nicks as a good argument, but I'm still going to go with the Falcons because of their quarterback. Roddy White's been consistent every single year. Julio Jones is coming into his own.
And Tony Gonzalez is back.
And he's got one more year, and I think he's going to be productive just as much. I don't think he's going to... I mean, he was very productive last year, so...
And they have now Steven Jackson, who's a great receiver out of the back.
Yeah, he's good in the run passing game, too. Much better than Michael Turner was. And don't forget, obviously, Jacquizz Rodgers is still there. Steven Jackson will not be getting all the carries.
Yeah.
Because Rodgers was productive last year when he got the ball.
So, I hate to be boring like this, but I'm going to have to go with maybe the Bengals. Not the Broncos. The Broncos. The Bengals are a good one, too. They have Tyler Eifert.
That's
AJ
good.
Green and Mohamed Sanu.
Mohamed Sanu is underrated.
Oh, yeah.
He got hurt at the wrong... He was very productive before.
He's going up.
And I like the little guy, Andrew Hawkins, as well. I think he's a productive guy. And also Giovanni Bernard is a very good receiving running back that's going to come in and take a lot of my guy, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to say the Broncos.
Yeah.
I mean...
Depth-wise, it's obvious.
Well, yeah, with Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, and Wes Welker. I mean, it's the argument, are Julio Jones and Roddy White better than the three of them combined?
I think so, too, because I think the three of them combined isn't always going to be a good thing because it's going to be taking carries. And Peyton Manning's still going to get the ball to his tight ends.
Except, yeah.
Jacob Tamme and Joel Dreesen combined were actually very productive last year. I think he's going to be getting the ball to all of them, and that's why I think it might hurt them.
Well, yeah, but
I'm thinking fantasy though. I have the fantasy mind right now, and that's what I'm thinking. For fantasy, it's a mess. But in the regular season, I mean, the more the merrier for Peyton Manning.
Yeah, spreading around, that's just helps.
He's gonna have a fun. I mean, it's gonna be a carnival with them. How electric they're gonna be. But do you think they're the number one team in the AFC?
The AFC? Yes.
I would say so too, based on the Patriots losing Wes Welker.
I'm a huge fan of the Bengals this year.
Yeah, I still don't think I still have the Ravens pick as my division winner.
I think
because I think Ozzie Newsome did a tremendous job of filling the holes, and I think Joe Flacco versus Andy Dalton is where I'm trying to look at it.
Yeah, but Green versus Bolden, or not Bolden, Torrey Smith.
Ray Rice versus Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
Okay.
Terrell Suggs and Ellis Dumerville.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I'm not going against what you're saying because I think the Bengals could easily win this division. But I think it's...
I think they're both making the playoffs.
Yeah. And don't forget about the Steelers, too, because they got younger. They have a stud now. They finally got younger at the defensive rush position with Jarvis Jones.
Yeah, but now the receiving core is a mess, too.
That's true. But, I mean, but Marcus Wheaton out of Oregon State, they got in the third round. Very good receiver, very tall. I think he could replace Mike Wallace very well. And they retained Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown. But my thing is, Big Ben's got to stay healthy if they want to get back into the playoffs, and Le'Veon Bell really has to produce. But, I mean, it's a three-way. I'm not going to count out the Steelers because they're in it, it seems like, every year. Even last year, going 8-8. But I think it's between the Ravens and Bengals to win the division.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so I guess if we're talking divisions, the NFC, which is a conference, I mean, the NFC is just so tough. Who's going to make it? Out of the 6 teams in the NFC East is a toss-up. We probably...
Only one team to me is coming out of the East.
Yeah. Well, we've got... Alright, so we got Seahawks and 49ers, whatever way it is, so that's one wild card gone. And we probably get the Packers in there.
I would put the Saints in there, too.
Maybe...
I don't think Drew Brees is going 2 years without making the playoffs, and
well,
they're very
but I mean,
improved.
who do you think's going to win that division, Falcons or Saints?
Falcons.
Yeah, so Falcons...
I think the two wild cards are the Saints, and I think the Saints are going to overtake where the Vikings were.
So who would you put as the division winner for the East?
I'm right now going to go with the safe pick because I'm scared of what RG3... Well, based on the Eagles, I'm not scared for them, but I'm scared for prediction-wise. I don't think RG3 is going to be at full health. And based on the safe pick, I'm going to go with the Giants with Eli Manning still. And if Hakeem Nicks can stay healthy, I still think that they're going to be, obviously, they're going to be in it, but, I mean, don't count out what the Eagles can do. You never know. Look at what the Colts did last year with new quarterbacks. I mean, if Vic does start, though, it's not new. And a new head coach, you never know. They are the dark horse to win this, but I think it's going to be down to the Giants and Redskins. And also, I mean, it's all a toss-up, but I'm going to have the Giants win it, and I still think the Cowboys aren't going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the Giants there. And even though Victor Cruz isn't back, he's pretty much locked to come back.
And don't forget about the Bears. The Bears, Vikings, and Lions are all going to be in it. To me, there's only one team that's potentially not going to compete for a playoff spot, and that's the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams are in there.
But even they might be productive. I mean, the NFC's up in the air. Obviously, in the offseason, you predict different things, and the teams that you thought were going to be good aren't as good. So not all these teams are going to be amazing like we're thinking right now. But they're both stacked conferences because you can't count out the Colts in that other division. There's three teams in the North. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm thinking going back to the AFC. Oh. There's 3 AFC North teams that could potentially make it. There's 2. Even don't count out the Titans. But both conferences, as of right now, have improved greatly.
Yeah. I would agree with that one. I think that's tough. So sticking in the NFC East, talking about that, the Eagles. Chip Kelly, the new coach at Oregon, has been playing music.
I love it.
At practice.
I love it. It's new. It's exciting. And not everybody. You know what I like about these practices compared to when Andy Reid was there, and I watch pretty much almost every practice on Eagles Live. There's no standing around. Last year you saw the first team and the second team was standing around doing stuff. This year it's full throttle. Everybody's doing something. There's drills everywhere you look. And the music's exciting, and this is a 4-way quarterback battle. I'm not counting out Dennis Dixon. I really want him to win this job. You got Michael Vick, Nick Foles, Matt Barkley, and Dennis Dixon all in this.
Well, who's that 5th quarterback on the roster?
G.J. Kinney.
So he's getting cut?
He's gone. I posted an article on DB Sports Talk, my DB Sports Talk blog, about the scenarios for each quarterback winning the starting job. And I predicted the records for each guy, and if G.J. Kinney started, I would have them at 2-14. I like G.J. Kinney.
Oh, okay.
But no, he's not making the roster. I think it's Vic, Foles, Barkley, and Dennis Dixon on the practice squad because he has one more year of eligibility, and then when Vic gets hurt, Dennis Dixon comes back up.
Yeah, Vic's getting hurt. Well,
I want Dixon to start. If it's up to me, Dixon is starting.
All right, so when do you think Michael Vick will get hurt? Say he starts.
With the offensive line actually to me becoming one of the best in the league now with all their injuries back in Lane Johnson, I think like week 10 if he's going to. I think he's going to be more durable, but I don't think he's going to be playing that long.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I think based on turnover-wise and the potential injuries, I think he's going to be gone by week 8, and I think you'll see Nick Foles or Barkley there, or Dixon.
I'm going to say he gets hurt week 2 because it's going to be the knockout punch. This is going to be the knockout punch for Vic.
Oh, this is it. This is it for him. He's got to produce this year.
So I just think they're gonna get a good week 1 win, and then he's gonna get hit. Everyone's gonna hate him. So week 2.
Week 2 against the Chargers.
I'm trying to map it out.
But what Melvin Ingram though tore his ACL for the Chargers, so their pass rush is gonna be terrible, and they lost Sean Phillips.
So, they played the Chargers week 2? I did not know that.
Week 3 they faced the Chiefs. That's where I think it could happen.
Okay, so Terry Poe?
Tom Bali.
Oh, yeah.
Don't count out... Don't put a cap on what Chip Kelly's going to do, though. This is an open quarterback competition, and Vic is not the sure thing to be the starter. He's taking a couple more of the first-team reps than Nick Foles and Dixon. Barkley's only been taking a couple of them. So this is up in the air, and it's really going to be interesting to see where Kelly goes, but I think it's got to be a mobile guy for the start because he'll really excel.
You don't think Foles or Barkley?
I don't want Foles. I think I saw enough last year to know what this guy is. And
you can say kid. It's okay.
And he's but really, he's not a difference maker. He's kind of a placeholder. Minus the arm strength because he's got a big arm. He kind of reminds me of an Alex Smith where if you're going to have a good team, maybe this guy could be a good placeholder. But he just doesn't have the pizzazz, and he doesn't have the it factor that's really what the Eagles are looking for, only having 1 win last year. I think Barkley might have that. I think the QB of the future is Barkley or Dixon. I'm not giving up on Dennis Dixon based on he coached with Chip Kelly. He was coached by Chip Kelly, and he looks like the most smooth. he runs the read option the smoothest out of all of them because he's the most familiar with it. So, but it's up in the air. I mean, this and the Bills quarterback competition really intrigued me the most out of all of them. The Jaguars one's kind of boring. Chad Henne versus Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, I don't like the Jaguars.
Their helmet? What? Did you see their new helmets?
No, I'm guessing they're bad.
They're the casual black in the front, and it's like a smear, and it's like beigeish brown, like the new color. They're bad. You can't double color a helmet. It's like half and half.
Yeah, all right.
I don't like it.
So you got anything else to cover?
I mean, not really. I mean,
all right. So
it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, the new coaches. There's a lot of new coaches, and it's gonna be fun. And it's early though. It's May, so you can't really put a cap on anything, competition wise.
All right, so I guess that's gonna do it for this our latest podcast. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you probably should listen on GetRealFootball.com on the side will say the football experts. That's when it will be the latest up to date. Because we just throw these on YouTube for the heck of it. But when you're really gonna get the news, these are mostly for the website GetRealFootball.com. Check them out. Go to my website www.davecres.webs.com for all my articles and all of our videos. And then go to Louis' blog. It's at dbsports.blogspot.com. So also follow me on Twitter at DaveCressSports and Louis at DBSportsTalk. Next, we'll be working on schedule rundowns for the YouTube. So if you're listening on GetRealFootball.com, check out youtube.com/NFL experts. So next I'll be doing the Saints.
And I will be doing the Carolina Panthers.
All right, so we'll see you later.
Thanks, football fans. It's been real.